Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to What That Means Is. We're in Series 2. We have Chris Riddell, Ken Drysdale, myself, Rosalie Drysdale, and boy, have we got a hot topic today.
You know, I think we got to rename our show, Rosalie.
Really?
Oh, what that means is just doesn't seem to cut it over the last few episodes. It's like we should rename it to "Hold On to Your Seats, Folks."
Yeah. Tighten your seatbelt.
Yeah.
Because, okay, when I say hot topic, I say hot topic for lots of reasons, not the least of which is this topic gets me hot under the collar because it's a biggie. We are going to talk today. We're going to start talking today because we won't cover it all in one session or one webcast. We're going to talk today about none other than, you've heard of it, the 15-minute cities, otherwise known as C40 cities or smart cities.
What's smart about it? What's SMART stand for?
Well, there's really, I don't think anything smart about them. In fact, I want to come up with an acronym for dumb, but
I have an acronym: Gulag.
yeah, yeah, right. Well, that doesn't DUMB, but anyway, gulag,
Gulag is fine.
a dumb gulag. Okay, but anyway, so you asked, we actually wrote that down. SMART.
Yeah.
Stands for surveillance, monitoring, analysis, reporting, technology. I'll tell you one thing that doesn't spell: freedom. It doesn't spell freedom. Okay, but
Spells prison.
it spells exactly. You know, as I read some of this material and understanding it, it reminds me of the Jewish ghetto idea.
Right.
Like a ghetto.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Slums, prison camps. What's the next step? Closer to it's the first step to prison camp, really. But boy, the terminology sounds so altruistic.
It
All
always
for
is.
your bit. You know what I love the best? I got to put my glasses on here. To reorganizing physical space around the human experience.
Oh boy.
Okay, I'm telling you. All right, I'm going to back it up here a little bit. Okay.
You mean, what's the human experience? The experience of being human, or what? I don't.
Well, that's
does
right.
that mean?
Okay. What this whole human experience, seems to be a constant intrusion. These are my notes now. I'm already editorializing. Constant intrusion into and onto the human experience.
Wow.
What do you think the jab was? It's an intrusion. What do you think? Even the
lockdown
transsexual thing.
was a
It's all
mandate.
Right.
all of this stuff is an intrusion
Masking.
upon our human experience. Wait. We've got a long history of being human beings. Now all of a sudden these things have to change. What's up with that? Okay, so I'm already getting ahead of us here because I am hot about this subject. All right, okay, let's. I'm going to try to keep myself organized here. I'm going to do a little bit of reading, and then we'll take that as a bit of a springboard. Okay. Okay, if that's all right with you.
Sounds good.
Okay, so what are they? What are 15-minute cities? It's an urban planning concept in which most daily necessities and services such as work, shopping, education, healthcare, and leisure can be easily reached by a 15-minute walk or bike ride from any point in the city. This approach aims to reduce car dependency, because how much we hate that. Promote healthy and sustainable living, and improve the overall quality of life for city dwellers. That's for starters.
Well, that's interesting because this reminds me, and as Rosalie was talking, it was just going through my mind about, darn well that description doesn't apply to the political elites, does it? I mean, we had a perfect example of that in the United States when Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida shipped, I think it was 60 or 20 illegal aliens from Florida and dropped them off in Martha's Vineyard because that's where all the elites live there. And what happened?
Oh, panic.
It was panic.
Emergency.
And one of
There
the
was
things,
50 of them.
yeah, there was 50 of them.
Yeah.
And it was like a few hours, they were gone and they were on a military base. But the most hilarious part about that was when you enter Martha's Vineyard, there's a sign talking about how they welcome, undocumented humans or something.
Really?
Absolutely. And they flipped out. And it was at a time when the mayor came out and he said, "Oh, there's no room here." And it was off season. So all these $1 trillion houses there were empty and they could have easily put them up there. But that ain't. So I say all that because folks, this isn't happening on Sussex Drive. And this isn't happening in Mount Royal. This is happening in your neighborhood.
So describe that, Rosalie, 15-minute city. Are they cutting it into geological areas or sorry, geographical, not geological?
Geographical, to be sure.
Geographical. So what does that mean? It's going to take 15 minutes to walk, bike, drive across their part of the town, or
They want
what is
everything within 15 minutes. And you
Yeah.
know, what I kind of got to, I mean, there's just so much information here, but 15 minutes, for example, okay, so, okay, experts in favor of the concept say it benefits both public health and the planet. Okay, by reducing the need for cars and consolidating resources into more compact urban spaces. 15-minute cities have lower carbon emissions, encourage healthy physical activity, and promote social engagement between members of the community. You know, I thought to myself, okay, encourage healthy physical activity. How much can you do physical activity in 15 minutes? I mean, when I jog, I'm not the world's most hardcore jogger, but I jog longer than 15 minutes.
Well,
when
let me
I run.
ask you this: how do you do it and it's minus 40?
Yeah. Well, you know,
Exactly.
the average person, you remember what Rosalie said, the average person walks at a little more than 2 miles an hour. So 15 minutes is a quarter of that. So what is that? That's
You tell me, mathematician.
7.5 hours.
no,
Oh.
15 minutes you could walk a
Oh.
quarter of 2.2. So that's like a half a mile. So within a half a mile radius of where you live, what Rosalie in their description,
Yep.
you have to have health care, you have to have housing, you have to have education. What about manufacturing? You got to have a sewage treatment plant, I'm guessing. Do you have to have a police station?
Yeah.
So within that half a mile radius of your home,
Mhm.
folks, you're going to have a school and a hospital and whatnot. What if you don't want to live next to a hospital
Okay.
Or in the city.
or in the city?
Maybe you want to commute. Maybe there are people commuting right now. What are they doing? Are they losing their jobs?
Well, I also made this point here. What about the farms? But what does that do for farmers? I mean, what have you got? You've got your farm within 15 minutes. And really, if memory serves correct, though, aren't they also trying to do everything they can to basically shut down farming? I mean,
Well,
that would work.
it's an interesting thing. Farming is a difficult and it's a dirty business. And in these elites' minds, why do you need farms? Because you can just get your food from Safeway, which will be in the half a mile from your house, by the way.
Exactly. Exactly.
Eh,
Okay, so I'm going to back up, or again, kind of bring it back to the information aspect. Okay, so this is from the WEF website.
This is from the WEF website.
What I'm
World
gonna read
Economic
now.
Forum,
Yep.
folks.
Yep, these are the ones that
I haven't heard
these,
good things.
These are the brilliant people that came up with this.
But you guys are all wrong, because according to our member of parliament, the WEF is no different than the Lions Club.
Do the Lions Club support this?
I don't know. Any Lions members out there?
These guys are just way too funny. Okay, one of the biggest urban ideas to emerge from the pandemic. All right, we're already on shaky ground.
There we go.
Evil fruit from
Yeah,
evil
exactly,
seed.
exactly. Is the idea of the 15-minute city or 15-minute neighborhood developed by French urbanist Carlos Moreno. 15-minute cities refers to a place where all the necessities of daily life shops. This is off the WEF website. Shops, schools, workplaces, doctors' offices, parks, libraries, restaurants, and other amenities are located within a short 15-minute walk or bike ride from home. In this way, each neighborhood becomes an isochrome, an area.
Isochrome.
Yep, and I've got the definition for that because I looked it up. Like I said in another episode, part of your research is looking up definitions. And then you could also see how they contradict themselves with these definitions. In an area that can be explored within a given time, giving all residents access to their needs, a convenient walk away. All right, so an isochrome. I'm still not exactly 100% sure of it. There's several definitions, but it is an imaginary or line on a chart, on a diagram or map connecting points relating to the same time or equal times. So I thought to myself, I guess when you go on Google Maps, for example, they'll give you 3 different routes. Like, what's the shortest? Would that? I'm not sure. I'm asking, and certainly you do your own research. But it seems to me an isochrome is kind of like, what's the fastest way? What are the various routes to go? What would be the fastest way to go? Am I right about that?
You are, but
Partially
I'm
right.
smiling because I'm thinking I don't know why it came into my mind, but I kept thinking about gerrymandering. For those of you who don't know what gerrymandering is, that's in the United States it was and it happens here too, where they have a voting district, and they just can't get that voting district to vote for
Yeah.
their own candidate, so they redraw the boundaries to make it advantageous to the person they want to win the election. And I can just imagine with this. So they're going to gerrymander these imaginary lines
Yeah.
so that the hospital and the funeral home and the cemetery and all that's not in the elite's imaginary line.
Wow.
15 minutes.
When you think about it too, all the things that we need, as you start kind of reciting all these things that we need, even funeral homes, how can you actually get that within 15 minutes?
Well, that's a really good, because I was doing some arithmetic in my mind, and if we figure that an average person in 15 minutes can walk about a half a mile. Well, the area that we're talking about there, well, it's an area of a circle is pi r squared, so it's a quarter of a square mile. So that's 0.75 square miles. That's your neighborhood now.
It's a quarter of a square mile.
0.75.
So
of
it's a
square
quarter
mile.
section.
3/4. No, 3/4 of a square mile. Yeah.
Exactly what I was thinking.
So the word that jumped out to me was explore. Well, so what do you do the second week? What do you do?
Well, what we haven't gotten to yet, and I want to put it in here. I'm going to jump a little bit ahead,
Okay.
is because Rosalie did talk about these imaginary lines. I got news for you. It ain't going to be imaginary line very often, very
Very long.
because they're going to tell you that you can't go outside your 15-minute city more than once or twice
Without special permission.
without special
A
permission
permit.
or
Yeah.
permit.
Yeah, or get a fine.
And I'll tell you how one of the ways they're gonna enforce that. Digital ID. So all of a sudden you don't have cash. So if you go outside of your lines, if you color outside the lines, and I was never a good colorer when I was a kid, I was always coloring outside the lines. But when you go outside that imaginary line, which has now become a real line, your credit card doesn't work. Can't get gas. Can't get food.
Well, what are you going to need gas for?
I guess. Yeah, good point. You can't go see grandma
That's the
No.
whole idea.
unless they're
Part
living
of the
in that thing.
Yeah.
So, when we talk about these things, I want you to think about what's happened in the last 2 or 3 years and how imaginary things, frankly, you couldn't imagine,
Couldn't even have realized.
all of a sudden became
Yeah.
real.
I'll tell you a story I just heard from a friend of mine. She worked for the province, and her job was to do with livestock. But they moved, they're building a new office for her over off Taylor, part of the city, near the hydro buildings there. And they're building as well apartment blocks there. And they said, well, this will be where you come to work. And she said, well, there's no parking over there. No, you'll have to take the park and ride from the outside of the city. So park out there somewhere and take a bus from there. She lives within an hour of the perimeter. And she said, well, there's no parking. I'm not riding a bus once I drive my vehicle to the perimeter. And they said, well, move to the
Move.
apartments that are near where you work.
Oh,
And she said, not doing that. And they said, too bad, so sad. And she said, well, I quit. And that was it. So
Yep.
so you see we're back to coercion and
Yeah.
threats and bullying and everything else again.
Yeah.
And she's blown away that this happened to her. So I can only imagine what's happening to lots of other people. She went home and, well, she'd already decided she'd quit and then just went
Yeah.
home and explained it. But that is terrible.
Well, it's funny, again, because this is such a broad topic. When you were talking about that, I was thinking of, for those of you who live in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, there's a development in Winnipeg called Corden Avenue.
Right.
And at Corden Avenue, it's an older neighborhood, and they developed it into a kind of a destination for restaurants and these little old apartments and these little touristy little stores and whatnot. And I'm old enough to remember when the people who had that idea and wanted to develop it in the city of Winnipeg, there was no way the city of Winnipeg was going to allow that because it was mixed use zoning. In other words, you couldn't have a store where there was a residence, you couldn't have a residence where there was a restaurant.
Right.
all right. So if I can just sort of draw our attention back to the WEF website because, of course, they're the bosses of everything, right?
Unelected.
Unelected. Oh, baby.
I'm
No,
not
no.
Canadian, by the way.
Not any of the from the countries that
Yeah.
they're trying to control exclusively. Okay, the 15-minute city aims to reorganize physical space. You ready for that? Reorganize your physical space around the human experience of time. Okay, workers can live, so they're going to allow you, workers can live near their offices or co-working spaces, eliminating the commute. Thank you. How nice of you. Anyone can walk to a small nearby park without having to hunt for parking spaces. Community building will benefit too. Parceling a city into smaller units makes it far more manageable from a social point of view. Manageable. Really manageable.
Manageable for
Uh,
who?
But yeah, manageable by who and for who? We never had a problem managing our lives before. And, you know, this is 2023. There's been a lot of years in the past where people have managed their own lives. How is
Decades.
management of our personal spaces or human experience becoming an issue now?
Well, you know, I know exactly how it is. And again, I've got another, this is such a cool subject because another thing popped into my mind. And many of you have probably never heard of this movie, but there's a movie, it's an absolute classic. One of my favorite movies of all time is called Metropolis. Silent movie from 1930s.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
And I'm showing you on the screen right now some scenes from that movie. It's now in the public domain, by the way. If you want to see where you're going to be in a one of these smart cities, smart gulags, this is where you're going to be. And
But
this,
we're not going to be there because we're fighting against it.
but this is what they're
That's
trying
what they want.
to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you'll see in this movie, and I highly recommend, even if you don't agree with a lot of things we're saying, I highly recommend you watch this movie. It's just one of the best movies ever made in the world. It's a silent movie. by
And you
the
know
way.
what? If you don't agree with what we're saying, it's your right. By all means, that's what we're here to propagate. But you know what? Have fun living in your 15-minute city then. Have fun. You know, also car speed limit here. I'm not going to read the whole paragraph. Car speed limit of 30 kilometers an hour. So does it ever, like, of course it has to happen in school zones where you drive slow for the safety of the children. But how would you like to drive that speed everywhere you go?
But you'll have to do it because not only will
Wow.
because you got such a small area, it's all school zone, hospital zone,
Yeah.
everything else zone.
Yeah.
I wonder, folks, where they'll allow us to build a church.
Oh, that's not going to be within that 15 minutes. No room. No room. No room.
I
for
wonder,
church.
folks, where we'll be able to put a cemetery. Or
Yeah.
I guess you won't be able to bury anybody anymore. You'll be forced into do. And I'm just saying that these are the things that are coming
Wow.
to mind of all of the ramifications that they will be forcing you. They will be. I repeat, they will be forcing you to do what they tell you to do.
This is what they mean by manageable. This is what they mean by human spaces, controlling the human spaces to make it manageable. This is to manage you. This is to manage your human experience.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're gonna maybe keep this first segment a little shorter, but I just want to, if I can, just read a couple of things before we close this off. Okay, 15-minute communities, again, still reading from the WEF website. 15-minute communities do little to alter the harsh realities of economic and geographic inequality. They promise close by amenities and luxurious
Close by.
luxurious walkability. Okay, can you see the steam coming out of my ears? For the well-to-do urban gentry.
Well-to-do urban gentry.
That's what it says on the website. They are mainly a fit for affluent urban neighborhoods and far less a fit for the disadvantaged parts of our cities. As Harvard University's Ed Gleiser points out, less advantaged groups are hardly able to live their life in their own disadvantaged neighborhoods, which lack jobs, grocery stores, and amenities found in more upscale communities. Okay, so in fact, this concept, this is my editorialization now, giving you my opinion. In fact, this concept would reinforce division and inequality with segregation.
Well, I want to ask a question about that because a lot of things, again, I apologize, lots of things are coming on my mind, but I watched a news article the other day about, can't remember what the drugstore chain was, but a drugstore chain in Seattle, Washington. Neighborhoods are going to pot there because of all these crazy policies they've got, and these drugstore chains are closing up.
Right.
So now there's neighborhoods where you can't get a grocery store because they've been robbed so many times they've got it. So how do they do that with a 15-minute city? So you probably will give some kind of a grant to different businesses to locate in that little city. But if it's a bad neighborhood and it's not going to be the Sussex Drive neighborhood, when it's a bad neighborhood and that drugstore closes up or the grocery store closes up because it's been robbed 42 times, where the heck are you going to go now?
Yeah.
So
It renders you speechless.
it renders me speechless. So now we're going to dictate to free market businesses, thou must go into this place. And how the heck does a store manage their costs when every 3/4 of a mile or half a mile, as that might be, they have to have another branch? So that what they're going to be is they're going to be little countertop things that you go into. There'll be no selection. There'll be no supply, just physically, folks.
So the one true thing they said here actually is that the 15-minute communities will do little to alter the harsh realities of economic and geographic inequality. You're damn right about that.
So one of the questions I have as we're sitting here is, so somebody, they sign up for this and they live in an apartment with their kids, raise their kids. The kids turn 18 and want to go to university. I guess everything's online.
Or maybe you just don't go to university.
Well, you don't,
you
get,
don't go to
you're
university.
not in the right. You're not in the right zone, so therefore you're not eligible for university.
So is there going to be a lot of people moving to different zones to get?
I don't think
where
you're
their
going to be allowed
friends
unless you
are.
pay a lot of money, which you probably
No,
don't
but
have.
I mean, before this, if they
I don't know.
draw out the city and draw out the lines,
Chris.
I mean, families are moving.
Chris,
Yeah.
the whole thing is blatant insanity.
You know, folks.
I don't know if they had this discussion that we're having with.
Yeah. You know, folks. This reminds me of something. This is what they call central planning. I repeat that word, and I ask you how many times, where have you heard that word before? Central planning. Soviet Union, they did central planning, and 20 some odd million people died of starvation. China, in the 60s, they did central planning, and they had the Great Awakening. And I can't remember, it's an argument about whether it's 80 million or 110 million people that died. And just to bring it closer to home, I think probably one of the biggest debacles in the last 100 years, maybe going up to World War II, is the whole worldwide global response of COVID. And what I mean by that is, when 10 people sit down to approach a problem and they come up with 10 solutions, some of those solutions are going to fail, some of them are going to win, some people are going to live, some people are going to die. But when you go into this global planning, this global idea where there's only one solution, like there was for COVID, and it was wrong, 10 million people died. The world is on the point of economic collapse and World War III because of that central planning, because they were wrong. And if you're wrong and there's only one solution, you all die.
And you know what? They're not even interested in being right or wrong. They just have their idea, their way that they're going to put. Right or wrong is not even in the economy of what they're thinking.
No.
It's what we want, what we're going to do, and you're going to be by 2030. You're going to be happy. You're not going to own anything, and you're going to eat bugs. And it's not going to be happy, sad, right, wrong. You guys are. This is what we say.
Guys,
We're the arbiters.
watch the movie Metropolis, and I've got another one for you. I believe this is a Canadian movie. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's called The Lathe of Heaven.
The lathe of
The
heaven.
Lathe of Lathe, The Lathe of Heaven. It's kind of a campy movie now, but essentially, I won't ruin it for you, but
Yeah, don't ruin it.
let me know in the comments when you watch these movies what you think.
Are they going to watch it?
I don't know. Will you
I
guys
bet you
watch
will.
it?
I
I'm
bet
gonna
you
watch
will.
it.
The
I'm gonna
Ladies
watch
of
it. I'm gonna watch
Heaven
it, yeah.
and Metropolis.
Okay, one more thing I'm going to say, and we're going to just wrap this up. This is still just reading the end of this particular section. In July 2020, you're going to find this super interesting. So will you guys. The C40 Cities Climate,
Climate.
there's that word again, Leadership Group published a framework for the cities to build back better.
Huh.
And the 15-minute city concept was at the heart of it. The framework included a wide range of case studies from Bogota to Berlin and Shanghai to Seattle. The C40 have continued to champion the concept ever since. Just last week, they launched the Green and Thriving Neighborhoods Program, a funded project that aims to develop integrated, quote unquote, integrated climate actions at the neighborhood scale in cities across the globe.
Well, I'm glad about that because you know what that does, folks? That means that they have international conferences where all the ne'er-do-wells who come up with these crazy ideas will fly private jets and they'll be able to talk about this and eat beluga
Exactly.
whale caviar.
And just that, I'm just going to say on a side, fly their private jets to the tune of 400 or so to one destination because you need like one jet per personality.
There's no
There's
personality.
that. Yeah, right. Yeah, well, perceived personality, not high intelligence necessarily. Sorry. And then not only that, as we heard just recently with the last Davos thing, all of those pilots were to be unvaccinated as well.
Because they didn't
What?
want to take a chance.
You didn't hear that?
They didn't want to
Yeah.
take a chance on a pilot having a heart attack. Oh, sorry, it's not a heart attack. It's an unexplained death phenomenon.
Oh my
It's kind of like
Facts.
UFOs. You
Facts.
notice how they changed the name for UFOs now?
Mhm.
What are they now?
Oh, it's a big long acronym. I don't even remember.
Well, anyway,
Wow. Yeah, that's
we'll
enough.
have to find out what
Oh,
that
I
is.
will.
Okay,
Crazy.
so we have a lot more to talk about on that subject, and I will try to keep my emotions checked because it really upsets me. You know, this whole control thing, controlling people, trying to control your thoughts, trying to control your whereabouts, control. It's not a good thing.
Funny.
It's a bad thing.
One of the nice things, not one of them, the thing that I like about this is they're trying to do it to the whole world, so that it's not like, oh, it's happening in
Bogota.
Indonesia
Or-
where we're so far removed,
Yeah.
we just go, oh, crazy things are happening all
Yeah.
over. But when they're trying to launch these programs all over the world at the same time, it wakes people up.
Yeah.
And with social media, as we're going to talk about in a future episode, you can see where that's kind of backfired for them because I can talk to people in Indonesia,
Right.
Yeah.
text them, email, all that different thing. So we know what's going on. In fact, another episode we're going to do is showing all the millions of protests going on in the world that the mainstream media refuses to show.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
don't worry,
happening.
everybody's
It's
getting
happening.
along. No, people like this. It's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Not so much.
And if you think, by the way, just before we sign off, if you think, and I've got a little piece of homework for you to do before you watch the next episode. If you think this isn't coming to your town, go do a little research. You know, we live not too far from a little town called Selkirk, Manitoba, which is about 10 or 12,000 people in it. Guess what? Smart city
Smart
coming.
city.
Rosalie just pushed in front of me here. Big cities too: Edmonton, Ottawa, North Vancouver. I think Winnipeg's
Winnipeg's in there.
in there too.
Yeah.
This isn't just big cities. You know, little things. I don't know if Portage La Prairie or Brandon is. I bet you because they're
Sure.
offering money to these cities to.
They're bigger than
Selkirk is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
You know what? You
Yeah.
know why this gets me It's burning? And honestly, it is the antithesis. This control is the antithesis. I believe in the Creator. I believe that we're created in His image. That's my personal belief. But the most powerful thing that was put in all of us on that creation, because we were made in His image, was the power to choose. That's
Free
the
will.
most powerful thing. The power to choose. Love is important, but we can still choose to love or not to love. So it's choice. That's been put into the DNA framework of the human experience,
human
which they're trying to take away from us and control. I say nada. I say no. And we absolutely confront that at every step.
And if you want to be part of our fight against that, remember to join CATSI.
Yep.
At catcs.ca
Or .org.
or .network.
We got it covered.
All right, folks.
Take care, guys, and I say goodbye from myself, Rosalie Drysdale.
Chris Riddell, thank
And
you.
Ken Drysdale.
Take care. See you soon.
Bye-bye.